I want to widen this debate and put some big questions now and get in more guests who've done a lot of work on the ground. What is the real reason for the worsening air quality across India? What impact is this worsening air pollution having on citizens' lives, especially the health factor? What is the solution to India's air emergency? Can centre and state governments escape responsibility, and can they work together for once, for God's sake? And will air pollution ever become a major political issue in India? Joining me now is Vimlendu Jha. He's been working on the environment for years. Anumita Roy Chaudhary, Executive Director, the Centre for Science and Environment, joins me. Pawan Mulukutla is Executive Program Director, Integrated Transport, Clean Air and Hydrogen, WRI India. Dr. Vivek Nangia is VC and Head Pulmonology at Max Healthcare, one of the leading pulmonologists in the country. So I appreciate all of you joining us. Let's turn question by question, and I want to ask you all this. Why are our cities, Vimlendu Jha, so polluted? When I look at the numbers, and I'm going to put all those numbers, the worst polluted cities, some of them are in India, Noida, Greater Noida, Delhi, Manesar, Ghaziabad. But we are seeing this now increasing pollution levels across the country. Why?
So Radeep, I'm actually in Varanasi, and the government monitors are showing me 197, and the private monitors are showing me 356. In 1 hour it actually turned to 376. The entire area or entire country, by the way, 90% of India's air is poor, very poor, and NCR, of course, gets into severe and severe plus category in these 3-4 months. One of the reasons why we are one of the most polluted countries of the world, or most polluted cities of the world, actually are the list that you actually make of 100 most polluted cities of the world. We are, almost 75% of those cities belong to our country. Is because we do not prioritize. We've actually prioritized development so much. We haven't really looked at urban environment, or for that matter, rural environment. There's not even measurement. We don't even measure what rural India's AQI index is. And therefore, we from industrialization to urbanization to really looking at our transport regime, we haven't prioritized public health as number one issue. We've only selectively looked at development parameters and GDP parameters as measuring the progress of a country. And we don't even relate to the fact that, imagine if there's a sick country and there's a rich country, these two can't go hand in hand. You can't have a rich nation, second most rich nation of the world, or third top or whatever, 5 trillion or 10 trillion. And then if every second child actually has a stunted lung growth, what kind of a nation are we actually building?
I'm going to come to the health risk. You're saying lack of political will. We've never prioritized it. I'll come to the impact on health in a moment. But Anumita, the first big question I pose, why? Do we lay the blame solely on governments and say that they've been unaccountable, they've not prioritized it, there's no political will out there? Is that the sole reason, in your view, why this problem gets worse by the year?
It's very important to understand that why, and it's very clear. Now, the whole development trajectory right now and the urban growth that is happening, one, clearly because of the energy mix that is in our industry, in households, and in the transport sector. So we are urbanizing, we are motorizing, we are industrializing, when the quality of the fuel that we are using, the technology level of emission controls that we are applying are we are behind, we are lagging behind. The technology ladder, we are really far behind. And we are not quickly catching up with the best that is clean and going to give us the zero emission transition. That's one. Second, and in this, I would really like to say that while the industrial energy and the transport energy certainly requires very quick transition, but the biggest challenge in India today is the household energy, where you still have large number of poor households with no access to clean fuel, still burning solid fuels for cooking, for heating, and that's huge amount of pollution, which is an equity issue that's fouling up their health and also our environment. The second reason is the lack of circularity when we are growing as a consumers in cities. We are generating huge amount of waste today, but with no infrastructure to recover that waste, to segregate waste and then recover resource out of that waste. So the waste
Right.
that gets dumped, we burn that all the time. And the third is the whole mobility crisis. So we are urbanizing, growing, and therefore the need to travel is growing, but then there is no sustainable options for us. So basically the government is telling us that you self-organize your own mobility. You buy your car, you buy your two-wheeler, and I'm not going to invest in the public transport that you require. And then the
Okay.
fourth is the whole construction boom, right? What Dia was saying about in Mumbai, that everywhere, the whole construction boom that has taken off, making huge demand on material and mining. So just understand the complexity. It is just the development trajectory, and therefore the government who had to set the terms of that growth with the clean
Okay.
matrix. That hasn't happened.
Okay, so it seems at the end of the day, it's coming to the door of the government. Pavan Mulukutla, do you agree with that? Is it solely to be left at the door of the government? Is it that there hasn't been enough awareness all these years? Suddenly now, at least there is a conversation about it, which was not there for several years. Do we lay it purely at the door of the Environment Ministry for their inability to frame, let's say, a comprehensive policy for mobility, for example, work with transport across the country? Is that the problem, or is it that just there isn't enough awareness?
I think Rajdeep, it's both, right? We solely can't say that it's only government, because I totally agree. We need very strong regulations, we need very strong norms, and we have very poor execution strategy in place. But I think making people part of this, other day I was taking a taxi in Delhi, and I was just chatting with this driver. He said, "Sir, ये तो सर्दी का मौसम टाइप है, यहाँ पे तो माउंटेन जैसे लग रहा है, इतनी अच्छी मौसम है." Even the awareness there is so lacking that we really need to make this people as part of this campaign, this movement, because we are talking about growth, but how do we achieve the growth as a green growth? Totally echoing what Anumita was saying, right? We need to look sector by sector. We are aware that what's happening in emission by construction, in transport, in industry, in household, but where is the action? And the action
Now,
is
who
a
takes the
combination
action? The courts, for example, we've seen the courts, for example, not being, many believe, take one step forward and then take one step back. We've had it with green crackers this year. Now, when I spoke to the former Chief Justice of India, he said, look, we can pass an order. Execution has to be with governments. We need the law enforcement agencies to ensure that our orders are complied with. Look at coastal regulations. You come to Goa now, coastal regulations have been violated in several parts of this country. So is it about the failure to execute the orders that may be set in place, that on paper everything is in place, but the execution is missing?
No, absolutely, Rajiv. I think we need very strong execution strategy. We need coordinated action between different departments. I think there has to be a incentive and penalties for department officers, because cannot be just left. We are talking a situation of emergency, and we have to work at a war footing level. This can't be just simply said that, okay, let it happen and we'll take action. I think we need accountability, but we also need to create buy-in with citizens, because if you don't make citizens and people part of this movement, I think we are going to lose this effort.
Okay.
Because you talk about efficiency standards, then there is a resistance saying that, okay, we still want to use vehicles with better fuel efficiency. So we really need to ensure that we create campaigns around people. We really ensure that there's strong regulations, but the enforcement
I'm going to
has
come
to
to
be in
solutions.
place.
I'm going to come to solutions in a moment. I'm going to also go to Dr. Nangia in a moment, because I want him to, in a way, almost frighten our audiences into believing what impact does foul air have on our lives. But Vimlendu, you raised your hand very quickly on this why factor. Let's settle it once and for all.
So, no. Yeah,
We'll
so
come
Ravi,
to
one of the
solutions
things that
later.
we've been talking about with regard to citizenry and others, we need to understand one thing, that we can't have private solution to public problems. At the end of the day, when we know that almost 50% or 40 to 50% of ambient air quality or ambient air pollution of Delhi is because of mobility sector, which CSC's report itself said, I think perhaps last year or something, then you and I can't buy a DTC bus. if 15 power plants in 300 square kilometer radius don't follow the sulfur dioxide emission guidelines, then you and I can't do it. So we need to understand one thing, that rather than putting it on citizenry and citizenship, we need to ask those tough questions of people who we elect to be our custodian of our air. So why is our air bad? Rather than looking at many other factors, we need to look at the custodians of our air are irresponsible politicians who don't give any damn about our health, and linking environment not just as a romance and a Naxal issue, rather a public health issue. Because imagine, and I'm sure Dr. Saab will talk about it. So we need to, that's where I don't think we should
Okay,
search
I
in
take your
search
point.
for
I
private
take your point.
solutions.
Let's, there is only so much that citizens can do. Ultimately, the buck must stop with those whom we elect. Do they really care about the lives of citizens?